Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to today's special event. I'm excited to welcome you to the Guinn Conversation Series, and we're excited about it because a lot of great things are happening in conversations. This is kind of based off of this wonderful president, the fifth president of Louisiana Christian University by the name of G. Earl Guinn, and his vision that he's had since 1951 during his time here and his engagement with society. It was just a part of his journey. And so it's in that vein we come and have conversations with you. And you get to hang out with us, hear our hearts, and we're just having a casual conversation today about AI and education. And I'm so fortunate to have some great friends here with us today. These are some leaders in Central Louisiana who have done more than we can ever imagine. And so I'm grateful to be in Central Louisiana to serve with these brothers and sisters, and that we get a chance to share with you some of the insights that we're thinking around AI and education. So I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. I was gonna introduce them, but I'm not gonna mess it up. So we're gonna start on the end here, and we'll start with the godfather of this whole leadership thing, and that's the one and only Dr. Paul Carrell. Would you introduce yourself and tell everybody all the things that you've been up to? This is the moment to brag on yourself, so you can do that now.
Well, my name is Paul Carrell. I am retired as of July 1st, so I've had a month of retirement and learning a lot about being retired. I studied better this time because this is the second time I retire. First time I failed miserably, but I think I'm past the exam this time. Very, very fortunate we had Liz Beard, to take this job. It's very, very important that we continue the good work at LSUA and LCU at the public education here in the community colleges. But I've really loved being here in Central Louisiana. It's an area that has so much potential, and the students here want to learn, and it's really a pleasure to be able to serve the needs of a community. We see ourselves as being a major part of making quality of life better for everyone. I always say the role of a university is public service, education, and research. But I take the public service as being the top priority, and that's making sure we know the pulse of the community, what's happening, and how can we improve it, not only in getting degrees with students, but making the community a better place to live. And I'm going to do that as a retiree. I'll be a volunteer. I'm on a couple of boards and commissions that are important to the region, and I'm glad we're meeting not at Brocata's having breakfast, because I think that's been one of the most popular venues for all of us, and Jimmy's Hotel always pays for everything. So I think he has a lifetime guarantee to pay for that, but it's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Mark for doing this, thank LCU for leading in this area, and I look forward to the next series of topics that we're going to discuss, so thank you for inviting me.
And then to his right is the one and only the new chancellor. I think you're the 14th chancellor. She's the 15th, is that right?
That's true.
14th and 15th, side by side, doing some great things at LSUA. Please introduce yourself and say hello to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm Liz Beard. I am the 15th chancellor at LSUA, and I can't go without saying that I'm the first female chancellor at LSUA, so I'm very proud of that. LSUA was recognized as an outstanding university, one of the top in the nation for opportunities for women. So I'm proud to be able to celebrate that in a leadership role and to continue the great work we're doing. And Dr. Carrell alluded to something we take very seriously in our work. It is an honor to work in higher education because you're pouring into young people. You're helping them choose lives of purpose and really lock into their mission and that person they want to become. But we also take very seriously that we have a responsibility to help build and educate the communities that we want to live in. And so I love doing this work. I've been at LSUA for 23 years now. My background is in the English classroom. And so that's a field that has experienced quite a bit of change as we're looking at artificial intelligence and how that changes the landscape of how we teach students to write and to learn and to think and to communicate that writing. So I'm thrilled to be here for this conversation. It's so important to all of us. So thank you, Dr. Johnson, for bringing, what did you call us, thought leaders? I love that. Bringing us together to really think about the things that change the landscape of education, because I know this group is extremely intentional about making sure that we're doing this well and right. We are mission driven, and we're going to make sure we're doing this with intention. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing because, I think, thank you guys for being humble, but when you think about the decade that you all have been, there was a span where you had 2,000 students, and now it's like over 8,000 students.
right.
Like you're setting national trends and doing things that are setting a template for other institutions to follow. So thank you all for your leadership in that, and the two of you working hand to hand, you can kind of see that leadership is paying off in so many ways. And Heather Poole is the new chancellor at CLTCC, which stands for Central Louisiana Technical Community College. So I'm working with it, trying to get it right, but she couldn't be here today. But the former chancellor is able to hang out with us as we catch up with her at another time. But we're really excited about the work that's being done and the need for what you all bring to this landscape and this season. So please introduce yourself and just tell everybody about CLTCC.
President Johnson, thank you
sir.
very much for having me here with such good friends in the Ministry of Education. And it is fitting that we're all here together talking about something so exciting and so engaging and somewhat disruptive. The conversation we had before we went on air, and the topic of conversation kind of has me rethinking this retirement thing, almost. But it's good to be with everyone. And I've been in education now for over 30 years. My wife, Laura, and our children, Jack and Maria, we call Central Louisiana home, and we will be buried in the reddest Rapides Parish dirt when we go on to our great reward. But probably the greatest thing I can say about my children's higher education experience, that both of my children graduated from LSU of Alexandria, and Maria, my daughter, graduated from Louisiana Christian University, and they've gone on to other degrees. But it all started here in Central Louisiana, and so this is an exciting conversation.
Thank you so much. And then we had to get somebody not in, higher academics. So we figured we'd grab somebody who's also setting trend records and doing some great things as well. So please, sir, introduce yourself. Say hello to all our listeners.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. I'm Jeff Powell. I'm the superintendent here of Rapides Parish Public Schools, our pre-K to 12 system here that's got about 20,000 students, a little over 3,000 employees. And it's our job to make sure that students are ready for whatever path they choose after high school. And so, as you've mentioned, and we've all talked about and had a good time kind of reminiscing a little bit off air beforehand, I've been blessed to be able to come in at a time when Central Louisiana has had a true resurgence or revival of education, of economic development, of all of these things. And we've been able to have such great partnerships in a time when life is really good for the residents of Central Louisiana, or there's many opportunities for it to be good. And so one of the things that we've worked on for the last few years is making sure that our young people know that there are countless possibilities, whether it's in the technical community college system for trainings to go right into career, or even a bridge to the university system, the opportunities that exist at the university system through dual enrollment while in high school. And then what's been, I think, one of the most amazing developments over the last few years for all of us is the way in which our employers are engaging with the K-12 and the higher educational system to make sure that our young people know you can get a great job right here. Not just a job, a career in Central Louisiana. So excited to talk about artificial intelligence and its impact on the work that we're doing. And it's a privilege and an honor for me to be able to sit here amongst dear friends and great colleagues in what I love, my friend Jimmy says, the Ministry of Education.
Yeah, that's a blessing. Now, listen, I'm not going to let you off the hook without you really running down some numbers on the success that you've all had because of the hard work of course, principals and teachers and staff and everyone coming together. Just give us a quick rundown of what's happening in this school district that we love so much.
Yeah, so, the last couple of weeks have been pretty exciting. First of all, we have our student achievement data was released just a few weeks ago, where Rapides Parish has shown more unprecedented growth. We grew 2 proficiency points, or 2 percentage points of proficiency this year, which I'll let some of the data out of the bag that we'll be talking about Monday at our big opening of schools meeting, but it's almost a 30% increase since 2021, which is unbelievable. It's phenomenal. It's a testament to the hard work of our students, our teachers, and really our community as a whole, buying in and believing in the work that we're doing. But really exciting and kind of hot off the press this past weekend, Dr. Beard and I were blessed to be able to go down to New Orleans for the annual Teacher of the Year, Principal of the Year, Early Childhood Leader of the Year Gala put on by the Louisiana Department of Education and Dream Teachers, a nonprofit that helps celebrate the achievements of our teachers and those that are working closest with children. And I think, I'm going to fact check it, but I'll go ahead and say it on here. I think it's probably the first time in history that Rapides Parish walked away with 2 of the statewide winners. Miss Sarah Corley from LSUA's Early Child Care Center was the Early Child Care Center Leader of the Year, so we celebrated her really big. And then Miss Michelle Blaney, a dual enrollment science teacher who works at one of our high schools but teaches dual enrollment through LSUA as well, is the High School State Teacher of the Year, which is unbelievable. And then we also had one of our principals, Miss Christy Dugas, who's principal of J.I. Barron Elementary School, was recognized as a state semifinalist for Principal of the Year. So, you know, just things like that, you realize how thankful you are to be able to be a part of a community that, you know, you can get used to being surrounded with just great people that you forget how great they really are until you see them winning on a stage bigger than the local stage. And so super proud to be a part of that and to be able to support the kind of work that's taking place in our systems.
Yeah, we thank you all for your leadership and for what you're doing as well. So now to the business that we're here. Now, AI is an interesting thing because we know that there's computer screens, there's things on your phone. So I want to introduce our young listeners to something that you need to be aware of, and that is flashcards. No, hold your applause back. No, hold it back, hold it back, hold it back. I know you're excited. Yes, these are called flashcards. And so I decided I'm going to use flashcards. I know AI screens, all the questions will be on the screens, but I'm still using a card, just like my good friend Jimmy Saltel has his flashcards. And we're just going to walk through questions. We just had 5 simple questions that we want to address with our leaders so that you can hear our heart on many of the things that you have been thinking about and maybe having conversations yourself. But we're coming in and we want to ask these questions. So we're going to kick questions off. Everyone has their one. And this is the first question, and it'll be on your screen as well, but on my card as well. How is AI already changing education, and what should every educator understand about that change? So, how is AI already changing education, and what should every educator understand about that change? And so we'll start with Dr. Krill, and we'll go all the way around, and if you miss something, we'll add our 2 cents in there. Yeah, Dr. Krill, what are you thinking?
I thought the first thing I would say, being the senior member of this panel, when I started college, you know, there were no computers, there were no calculators, or they were just coming out, no cell phones. And I had a manual typewriter in high school when I took typing. So think about the changes we've seen in my career, in my lifetime. And they were all advancements that helped us do better. So I think everybody needs to take a deep breath and don't panic. You know, there is going to be disruption, but I think in the end, if we're smart enough to do it right, it could really advance learning and give students opportunities to really get more information quicker and change education, no doubt, but in a way that's positive, more efficient, maybe less costly. And it's an exciting time. I mean, I thought about, you know, the typewriter. You know, when I was taking typing in high school, we had a couple of electric typewriters. I didn't get one because I was a freshman and the seniors got them. But, and then I get to college, and I remember in a chemistry course, the professor says, I don't know if I'm gonna let y'all use calculators. I'm not sure about that. And he was probably 75 years old, and he was very cautious about it. I mean, look at calculators. They're not even used anymore. It's a phone. And then no computers when I got to my first job with LSU in Cameron Parish. No computers. And then we got that first Tandy Radio Shack computer, and it was like, my God, no internet. It was just for word processing. So I think we need to just relax a little bit, but take advantage of how technology is advancing so quickly. And do it right, make sure that we use it in a positive way. But the students are going to continue to advance whether we like it or not. So we have to be smart enough to help work with them, alongside them, and make sure that our K through 12 elementary and secondary education, as well as universities and technical and community colleges, see students for this technology being positive. So I just wanted to remind everybody that, you know, I even thought back, you know, going back to everybody used to ride horses, and now we have cars, you know, my God. And people panic, what's going to happen to all the people who raise horses? And, you know, it's just, we need to really be excited about the future and not fear the future.
Anything?
That's right. Wise advice always from this guy. Absolutely. And I was thinking about that. What strikes me about artificial intelligence is not just change, because, you know, as educators, we know the one thing that will never change is that things will always change. I mean, we have to be ready to pivot. We have to be resilient. You know, I've been an educator now for 30 years, and you think about it, as Paul said, the changes that we've experienced throughout that time. I mean, we all love our note cards. I could pull mine out too. You know, I mean, that's how we learn to navigate the knowledge that we thought was important. But I love the opportunity for us to look at what does this kind of new tool give back to us, right? What are the opportunities or the doors that it opens? What are the things that we can ask the machines to do so that we can better use our human talents? And there's so many good opportunities like that. So I like what Paul said about embracing the positive, embracing the opportunity, because that really puts the human in control of the machine. One of our thought leaders who was at our Artificial Intelligence Summit on campus last March said something that I love, and not just because my background is in literature, but he said, you know, with artificial intelligence, we really are re-entering the age of poets. Well, of course, I love that. That's my wheelhouse. That's my background. But think about what the poets have, right, that technology alone does not. Creativity, discernment, innovation, deep thinking, that artistry, that are our deeply human skills, right? And that desire to communicate that with one another. So I think those artificial intelligence gives us the opportunity to do some of the routine or the mundane task with the machine, and then leverage our human skills in more creative or empowering ways. And I'll give you a quick example. One of the tasks that's kind of onerous for faculty as we're returning to the semester is we do these wonderful documents called syllabus checklist, right? You go through and make sure all the required components are in the syllabus. And so a faculty member will do that for all of their sections or courses, and then the admin assistant will go back and check to make sure that each faculty member has all of those. Doesn't that sound like fun, right? It's not the best use of human brain power or potential. If a machine can do that and check it, and our brand new provost just built an agent to check the syllabus to say, what's the missing information? This is a list of requirements. Check it. That's Dr. Nate Sammons. He's brilliant, and he loves playing in the sandbox of artificial intelligence. But then the human can then say, okay, this is the part that's missing. This is what I want to add, and put the value where it is. And then I take all of that time of the educator and put it working with the students, working on course development, doing the creative, the fun, the stuff that's discernment and the real substance instead of the routine and mundane. So that's, to me, that's the opportunity. Assign that stuff, the boring stuff, because machines don't get bored, right? Computers don't get bored, right? Assign that to put the bots to work doing that, and let us really leverage the skills that are distinctly human and that connect us to one another. There's so much potential and opportunity for that. That is exciting. I agree.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I agree too. That's exciting. And thank you all so much for sharing. When you start shifting, I think, from information economy to an intelligence economy, then it looks a little different, you know. And if learning looks different, we have to adjust how we're teaching those learners who's learning different. And I think that's going to help us kind of navigate through these waters to help young people reach that place where they can say, okay, I can be at this level and be okay, because there's help at this level. And then I can grow to that level. So I think growth is a part of that. And you all mentioned the excitement about it. And I think it is an exciting time to be a part of this as well. Yeah, what are you thinking?
Adding to what my dear friends have said, you know, artificial intelligence is a disruptive force for good. We are in a sequel from a movie we've seen before. In the 70s, it was the scientific calculator. In the 80s, it was the personal computer. In the 90s, it was the internet. And then in the early 2000s, it was distance learning or electronic learning, and all of us got involved with that. And now it's part of our culture. Now artificial intelligence is a force that has no real gatekeeper. Students use it. We had an AI conference at LSUA for a statewide higher ed leadership group in 2024, and probably the most potent and best panel was the students who explained and shared what they did with AI and trained us as administrators and faculty members. Our local workforce is there's so many careers out there. And what our employers are saying is they want as many tools as possible in the arsenal of all of our graduates. And so be it all of the technologies that I mentioned earlier and now AI, our employers want our students to be able to use it for good and use it appropriately so that they can solve problems and respond to opportunities in real time right after graduation.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yes, sir. What do you think?
Yeah.
That was nice.
So that was
It's a big thought.
a wake-up call.
Yeah. Did yours come in?
That AI coming in and taking over this podcast. You know, one of the things that's kind of funny to me is we talk about, I don't know if y'all read the book or saw the quotes about being a digital immigrant versus being a digital native. I think most of us are digital immigrants,
Yeah.
despite how great Jimmy is with AI and his digital world. We weren't born with this, as Dr. Correll said. We've had to adapt as these new technologies. Most of the young people that are coming into our school systems, whether at college or in the K-12 system, they've been born with this. So when you think about the question of how is AI changing education already and what should every educator know or understand about it, I think one of the biggest challenges right now for us is helping people understand that AI is not all bad.
Right.
It may not all be good, but it's not all bad. And it, just like with any new technology, we have to weigh it out and figure out what are the best ways that it can be used to help us be more successful in the work that we're doing. And obviously in the education space where there's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of intellectual capacity building that you're doing, and education is an art, and so you want to keep that connectivity. What we are already seeing with our teachers and with our students, obviously students are learned a little bit quicker how to use AI to their advantage, good, bad, and indifferent. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, now we see our teachers taking resources that, you know, some of the good with AI, it's able to compile all these resources, aggregate it, disaggregate it, synthesize it, and then pull what a teacher may really be looking for to help drive home a concept or drive on teaching. We saw this year, I believe, the State Department of Louisiana partnered with another organization, used AI to score some of the assessments. You know, so part of it, what I'm looking at from the K-12 space is looking at how it can help us be more efficient while we're still pursuing more effectiveness and hopefully, ultimately, cheaper in a lot of the things. When you talk about the idea of not having to buy a textbook ever again, for me, from a financial perspective, is a positive thing. You know, so learning how there will ultimately have to be some types of gates and locked gates and unlocked gates in this system of artificial intelligence. But I think the biggest thing that we all have to learn is it's not all bad. It's not all good. We have a responsibility to continue to engage in these types of conversations, dive deep into the new learning for the benefit of our organizations, our students, and our employees, because people are looking for us to provide that guidance. We have a little task force that we just adopted a policy this past year. But one of the things the task force talked about is, you know, we have multiple layers that we're having to contend with. You know, we talk about teaching AI literacy to our students, but the reality is we need to teach AI literacy to our adults who are supposed to be teaching that to our students as well. So there's a lot of layers that we're going to be peeling back over the next few years. And, you know, the interesting thing about AI is it's doubling so quickly. You know, the rate at which change is happening, it's literally evolving before our eyes. And so us trying to stay engaged with it, it's quite the undertaking.
Yeah, there's a lot of anything else that we missed? Anything you want to add in there? Anything? Because if we're conversation, I know how we talk over each other. We have fun where we at. So, but let's transition. Since we're talking about changing, what are the opportunities? What is it about the opportunities with AI that we see that can really help benefit those, improve teaching, improve learning, improve any kind of student success in every situation? Is there anything you see there that really glares when you think about that?
Yeah, tons of opportunities, and we've shared some of those already. One is customization, right? If I have a diversity of learners in my class, artificial intelligence can help me think of scenarios or different learning situations that best meet the needs of the different students in the class. You know, and then it generate pretty much endless questions or opportunities or ways for students to sort of quiz themselves or challenge themselves on a set of information or data. So all of those things are awesome. The other opportunity that I think is really interesting is that it forces us to focus again, not just on the final product, but on the process of how we get to those answers. And that is really taking us back in a beautiful way to the basics of education, right? To say, you know, again, my field is English. It's not just about that bright and shiny, clean final paper, because now if I get a perfect paper, I'm almost positive it was AI generated. You know, we're in that age. I want to see the process. I want to see the student engaging with the information. It takes me back to the original learning objectives. What is it that I need this student to demonstrate to me? How do I need them to engage in this information? And then the big opportunity for us as educators is it forces us to think about the why. Why are we asking students to learn this? And it gets to what we were saying in terms of what's that outcome? How does that set them up for these skills that they need to master? Why are they learning these? What do they need to demonstrate beyond the walls of the classroom? And how do I get those students to demonstrate that to me? And so we're back to showing the process and the stages and the engagement as they're developing their answers. And so I think in some ways, the wild part of all of this is as the technology advances so quickly that we just give up. We know we're not going to keep pace with it, right? There's no chance of doing that. So we have to embrace that feeling of always sort of knowing that the technology is going to outpace us. What is the real thing we're after here? What's that real objective? What is it that we need to have our students demonstrate to us, or that I as an educator need to engage with? And then there's a wholesomeness in that, you know, I mean, and there's a joy in that, you know, I mean, engaging in the material that way and sort of saying, you know, the process and the discernment and the wrestling with the material is really the main point after all.
And I think, Dr. Johnson, I think one of the things I love about when there's systematic change, disruptive change, as has been said, like we're seeing people that have these types of skills naturally, that they are getting to rise to the top. And when maybe they weren't as good as something we were doing yesterday, but boy, they're good at what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And so we're actually getting to see people with a different set of skills in our arenas be able to get to let their light shine a little bit and open our eyes to some of the amazing things that AI could be, because this is their world. They're techies. They're like, finally, people are going to get to see what's behind the curtain. And so I get excited. Just hearing you talk about it, I was thinking about some of the people. We've got some of our teachers in our high schools that teach computer science, and they're like, let me at them. You know, they're ready to go. So let us have access to those tools. So you just made me think about that. All those people that this is their world. They're ready. So let's let them teach us now.
And, yeah, I know. But the other piece of that is, as Jeff was talking, the transparency. Like, we can't fool our students. They know we're using AI too. You have to be honest and transparent, and there's a healthiness in that as well. I mean, we're all kind of evens the playing field in that. And then, you know, I mean, it's
And I'm a big fan of those individuals who are learning disabilities. You had disabilities. Maybe I remember my wife teaching someone with language barriers and how AI can make those adjustments for those individuals who may get left behind. Now you can pretty much personalize a training plan for them to keep up with everyone else, and that teacher doesn't have to stop and go back to someone else. I'm thinking about my math days when I just used to get all the answers from the back of the book. And then my teacher would say, can you prove your work? I was like, no, I can't. It's in the back of the book. So AI would take me back and just walk me through that process. And I think when I think about those opportunities, I get excited about that. Yes, sir. Either one. You go.
For the opportunities that AI provides, let's think of the student first. The most important part of any technology is the user. It's the person that's behind the wheel, be it internet or artificial intelligence. And what I really love about artificial intelligence is that it can present information and lessons to students in a way that is best for the student. Maybe someone does better to read instructions and read a history book. Maybe they want it to be something that they listen to. Maybe it's something that they watch. But artificial intelligence is able to take the information for sight, for reading, for listening, for demonstration, but then put it in an area that is at whatever reading level they may be at. There are many times I go to artificial intelligence and say, explain this very complex subject like in a junior high vocabulary. And I am able to take that and learn it easier, and then I graduate up to high school and beyond. Where teachers are concerned, we have resources now that will allow them to take their outline, and it will make a PowerPoint presentation for them, and maybe add audio to it, and they can post that on learning management systems. And behind the scenes for administrators to be able to see trends in things like enrollment, so that we can invest our resources as much as we possibly can so that we can do even more for our faculty and staff and for our students.
This question, one thing came to mind that has really advanced, it's going to continue to advance in terms of when I was doing research and writing a dissertation or a thesis, is you don't have to go to a library to get information. I mean, I remember going through card catalogs and trying to go up and down the aisles looking for this particular book or journal article, and it would take me a half hour maybe to find just the article. And now you can immediately have it in your kitchen, sitting on your couch, and you read it. So I think you're right about, I think you mentioned the efficiency and the more time to do other things. We make sure they're doing other things that are worthwhile.
Valuable, that's right.
And I think, the biggest concern I have, I think libraries are going to change so much, and they already have. They're going to continue to change significantly. But the thing that I worry about the most, and I think it's been mentioned, is the people skills and to be able to communicate with one another, because we tend to always want to text and email and not talk to one another. We talked about having breakfast together. I mean, it's so important that you get to know people and be with them, look them in the eye and visit and, get to trust each other. And you can't do that over a phone or an internet or AI. Now, you can get a response, but, the other term I learned, and I read about it today in a journal article I read in the Chronicle of Higher Ed, there's a lot of hallucinations out there on AI. And it concerns me that students just consume everything they get and they just put it into the information that they give back to you without verifying it. So that verification of AI literacy and the importance of verification, we're going to have to pound that into students because they're going to want to do it really quick and get it done and it's over. We're used to being sure that what we put on the paper or report or orally present is accurate. It's got research behind it, and it's technically correct. If you don't do that, you're going to get embarrassed. And I've seen some AI-generated information that was so off base that it was like, my God, where did this come from? You can't make this up. Well, they made it up. They even made up a reference, a journal reference that the journal didn't even exist. Now, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens. So you got to be very, very careful because education needs accuracy, and we got to verify.
Yeah, I think, Andy, go ahead.
No, that's it, just the discernment, and you still need the experts. You need the content experts, right?
Yeah, I think that segues us great to our next question, because now we have to shift to that human element, that human agent that's involved in all of this as well. So here's our human question. What human skills will become even more valuable in an AI-driven world? And how should schools prepare students for them, whether it's, creativity, emotional intelligence, faith, ethics, those kind of things. I think that's going to be essential for all of us as we're thinking through how do we keep that, let's go to breakfast together, so that we can keep this bond and unity together versus letting it pull us apart. So any thoughts on that, on how we manage that?
Piggybacking on what you said, I think about critical thinking. Employers want employees that can think critically. Ethics, that they do things ethically, that they have emotional intelligence, like you said, that they're able to read a room, that they're able to read a conversation, but then also that they're able to build teams and build relationships. How can our team be the best we can be when our best player is not our best teammate? So being able to take artificial intelligence and put it through those lenses so that we can have a better graduate and a better employee.
Yeah, that's great. Anything stand out? Anything?
Yeah, I think when we think about what's going on in the K-12 space and making sure that our students have the opportunity to be successful in there, it's really allowing them the space to show that they can be proficient in the skills that we're trying to build them in any way that they can find. Because in the good old days, you know, when we were taking standardized assessments and things like that, it was like there's just one right way and there's no other. Now, I'm a seventh grade math teacher at heart, right? So I believe in foundational math, but what we realize now that conceptual understanding can be shown in a variety of ways. And with AI tools, students are able to show us those things if we give them the opportunity to do that or use the tools that they're more comfortable using, even though we aren't as comfortable. So I think the world is just opening up a little bit wider for us to be able to see the things that students can create. But to the point about the human element, I think one of the most important things that we have to remember, and this is what every parent knows, you can't take anything for granted.
Right.
Even though these young people are growing up, they were born with these devices and having access to all of these things, we're going to have to be very intentional with what's right, what's wrong, what's a hallucination, what's not, and it's difficult. I mean, I've got elementary children living in my home. I've got middle school children living in my home. I've got high school children living in I've got a bunch of children, if you didn't know that. I've got college students, and they're all at different levels. But my wife and I have to be very intentional, and the same thing as educators. We can't take for granted that these students know the difference between what's reality and what's a hallucination. I've seen in some of the conferences that we've all gone to, you know, the presenter use an AI tool that they're literally standing up there having a conversation with this bot, I guess is what they call them. And the bot sounds just like me and Dr. Carell having a conversation, including hesitations and almost emotion that you hear in their voice. I mean, I cracked a joke. I'm like, well, no wonder people are feeling emotionally bonded to some of these bots. I mean, I'm feeling emotionally bonded just hearing this thing talk. He was so compassionate. So
complimentary.
Right, they're complimentary. But some of the scary things is what they said, talk about the hallucinations, is the bot is learning you as you communicate with it, and it's learning what you want to hear, and it will tend to feed you what you want to hear, whatever the subject may be. And so I think that the big point is we can't take anything for granted. We have to be intentional. When we talk about AI literacy, I think there's going to have to be a steady set of standards, if you will, to use an education term, of, hey, what do we really want? And it's hard because some of it gets into morals and ethics, right? But what is that going to look like in the future as we try to make progress in this AI world?
What struck me about this question is this exact panel. Like, we could all read about the effects of AI and artificial intelligence on education and the opportunities, but we wanted to come together. We wanted to talk about it. We wanted to hear from people who are living in that realm. And so artificial intelligence will never replace exactly what's happening here. Experience, education, shared work, human connection, you know, and so that's the thing. I love what Jeff and Jimmy are saying about intentionality, because that's the thing that resonates with me as an educator. I know I grew up in a time when we naturally seek out that connection. You know, we didn't have an opportunity. That's how we, you know, you had to gather in the library because that's the only place you were going to find that information, right? But now we really do have to be very intentional about making sure that our students have the opportunity to engage in that connection and to engage in that meaningful dialogue, you know, with their educators, with their peers. And so that's something, you know, at LSUA, we have a program called Command Your Career, and it's about career readiness. A big piece of that is asking our students to network, to rehearse their communication skills, to rehearse their self-assessment skills, and to recognize that they're doing that, to sort of self-assess as they go through that, so that they know they're intentionally building those things that matter to them as educated leaders in their communities. So I think that's the piece of it. We have to be intentional about encouraging our students and ourselves and our communities and our faculty to pull in, to gather, to connect, you know, to build those relationships and those opportunities for that intentional human connection.
As much as AI literacy will be an important part of the learning process for students, Jimmy made a good point. They're going to need to know human development and relationship building, learning body language, how to communicate, showing compassion. I mean, you know, everybody can't just be a robot or a bot and communicate with one another. And I don't think that's going to be diminished in any way if we're smart enough to prepare for the future. I mean, conflict resolution. I mean, right now, all boards and commissions cannot meet virtually. You got to be there in person because they won't allow for public comment. And you got to look at the public comment and talk to the person that's there. So that is part of, I think, the understanding of how people think and what they believe and what they want. And so it's important, and I don't know how the gen ed courses will change at universities and community colleges and even, you know, K through 12 courses, but we got to remember that the human dynamics and the importance of communicating and working together as a team and building momentum for projects and excitement, you know, that can't be done, you know, virtually. It's got to be done face to face and with people working together. So that's a challenge for us, though, because a lot of students, you know, don't think that maybe we need to do that. We can just go on the internet and learn how to do it.
Yeah.
That's right. That makes a big difference along the way, especially when we think about soft skills. How do we teach you the soft skills so that when you get there with the expertise, now you have the soft skills to navigate through an organization in order to do what you need to do? I think we addressed this in some ways, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, just in case. What ethical questions should educators, parents, and community leaders be discussing as AI becomes more common in our schools? Those ethical questions, what are you leaning on there? Anything stand out?
Yeah, I think kind of what we talked about just a few minutes ago, you know, the big things about what are our students being able to do with AI. And, you know, like many things, it starts at home. You know, what the level of access is so high now. I mean, our children now have access to things that, I mean, I could not have imagined having access to, and it's in their pocket. Like we bought it for them; it's in their pocket. And so when we talk about the ethics and the moral side of it, if you will, it is really working through it. I think there's the government has actually said that there's like a moratorium on. They're not going to be putting many parameters on AI. They're going to kind of let it do its thing until it does whatever it's going to do before they start trying to restrict it in any way. And while I do understand the need to let a new technology evolve, it is somewhat scary because nobody really knows where or how. It's not something you can predict. And so I think back to the foundational concept of what is AI literacy? And if we Googled that right now, we would get AI versions of AI
That's right.
literacy, you know, 100-fold. And so I do think there is going to come a time at some point, whether we like it or not, where somebody's going to have to establish in a school system, at a university, these are the ethical standards by which we will abide when it comes to artificial intelligence, just like we've had with student codes of conduct, just like we've had on plagiarism, you know, things like that, and done different ways. But I do think, you know, I think ethics and morals are one of those things that a lot of people just kind of shy away from because what do they say? You can't legislate morality. But at some point, if you don't put guardrails somewhere, then you live with the consequences. And I think that the examples of the hallucinations and the bots and things like that, if you don't have some way to protect young minds who are trying to develop and they're, you know, soaking up and learning from everything that comes before them, well, you just want there to be we knew that Encyclopedia Britannica was right.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what page you turn to, it was right.
Well,
we don't have that luxury anymore.
it's always been wrong to cheat. It's wrong.
That's right.
So that's nothing new. Students have tried to cheat and, you know, they get punished for it or whatever, reprimanded. And, but it's so much easier now with AI. So it's like dangling, you know, candy in front of a kid, you know, they grab it so easy. And it's the same thing with the internet. I mean, there's so many things there, you know, immorality and things. It's so easily accessible. So society's got a tough road to hoe. We have a tough road to hoe in the future. And it concerns me. I was reading last week where France is going to ban, you know, anyone 15 or younger from having social media accounts. I mean,
Australia's done the same thing.
yeah. So, I mean, I see there will be more discussion of are there some guardrails we need to be putting in terms of young people that are too young to know the difference, and need more guidance. So it concerns me a lot, and I kind of read up on what's happening in the rest of the world in terms of protecting children. And I know y'all worry about it a lot, Jeff, with the K through 12. But we're going to have to make sure that we protect these children. And it's going to be our jobs to do it. And, the elected officials, regulation is always kind of shunned as we don't need more rules and regulations. I think we're going to need some. I think we're going to need more.
That makes a big difference. And I had a conversation with a homeschool mom, and she just came up to me and said, just because we can, should we?
That's right.
And so that question just kind of lingered there when you start thinking through, there's something there, and how's it forming my child? How's it shaping them versus my values? And what is the age? What is the age where we can say, hey, you know right from wrong, those kind of things. And so I think the conversation is kind of finding this way through various, avenues for homes and families and responsibilities that we have. How do we discipline? What is it? How, those kind of things. And so I think, I think it's questions that need to be addressed or at least engaged without blindly walking into the AI world. Yeah.
You know what's kind of fun? It's taken us back to the basics again in so many ways. Some of our history classes, do you know how they're taking their final exams? Blue books. The blue books are back, and it's that scenario of, I need you to show me what you've learned from this class. I need to know what you're retaining. And so it's that situation that we all well remember. You go for that 2-hour final exam and you pour it all onto that paper. That creates a lot more work on the educators, but then there's also that demonstration of, this is what you've retained. This is what you can tell me that you remember from the core concepts of this class. And we've also had to flip the script for a long time, like that ethical, talking about academic integrity and whether a student cheated on an assignment. We would be able to use the plagiarism detector, and and there was this percentage of. So we've had to flip that a little bit. It's no longer on our responsibility as a teacher and educator to prove that a student cheated. Now we've asked our students to prove to us that they understand the content, the learning objective. So that brings back those discussions, the oral conversations or the oral presentations. Tell me what you've learned. Talk me through it. Explain it to me, right? And so I say old school is cool again, right? and I stand by that, but that's the core of education, right? Talk me through it. Tell me how you got there. Explain it to me. And that never. That's the classic. It's universal, right?
Is that going to be the new LSUA hashtag?
Yeah. Old school is cool.
Old school is cool.
I like it.
But we would be remiss. There would be an ethical missed opportunity if we were graduating students who did not know how to use artificial intelligence with integrity, right? So that is part of our responsibility as educators now. We've got to make sure from day one that they are engaging with the new technology and they're understanding the limitations and where it goes wrong and what things it can make better in terms of their educational experience, but also where they need to lean in with their human discernment and skill set. So we've got to graduate students who know how to leverage that technology in an empowering way.
Yeah.
So that's part of our ethical responsibility, I think.
Anything else? I don't want to leave you out. Yeah.
3 things that come to mind are academic integrity, has been said by this panel. Second would be data and privacy be protected. It is so easy just to email or upload or share flat files that have a lot of sensitive information.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we not accidentally do that because artificial intelligence, when you ask a question in January, but it gives you an answer in February to a totally different situation, it might reference the question in January. And I think, did we just become best friends? How did it know? How did it remember that I was planning on doing that? And why is that influencing this answer? So when you're talking about a lot of information, it's important that we protect that. And then the third thing is something that's societal, and that is the digital divide. That we make it available to as many as possible through our public libraries, through our libraries at our schools and our colleges and universities. And that those librarians are not just gatekeepers, but they can educate those students on how to use artificial intelligence wisely.
Yeah, That's great. That's great. All right, here's our last question. How is AI already changing education, and what should every educator understand about that change? Sorry, that's number 1. Let me get to number 5, and that's why you have the cards. Here's number 5. As educational leaders, what should we do today to ensure AI serves people rather than replace what matters most about education? So as educational leaders, what should we do today to ensure AI serves people rather than replaces what matters most about education? Anything can be done. Anybody want to take that? I mean, I can start with, policies and training, training for, I think in a lot of ways, I think the training for parents is just as much needed as, because the students are naturally going to get trained because they're in the institution, they're going through the process, but many of the parents who have fear maybe because they've never been trained on what that looks like. And so making that available for them is going to be key when we think about the external training that can take place as well. And that's way back to our libraries and other. Of course, you can go online and get those kind of training, but not to fear it, but to embrace the training process, to understand what it's really about, and spend that time learning about that as well. So that's something on the outskirts. But anything on the inside that you guys
I
think?
mentioned something earlier about making sure that the soft skills, I think you told them, are continuing to be a priority in all educational experiences. But also we may think about a course in ethics and revisiting the possibility of reminding in a very clear way with AI, there's going to be more opportunities and temptation to do some unethical things, and make sure that students are taught this is some of the pitfalls, this is wrong, this is the right way to use it, so that it's not something they just hear kind of on the peripheral, reading an article here and there on the internet. So schools may want to be thinking about an ethics course that focuses a lot on AI and on the internet overall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anybody else stand out? Anything stand out? Anything stand out?
I'll piggyback on something Liz said a little bit earlier about, it's what we're doing is helping develop the minds of our young people, whether they're K-12 or young people in college. And I think, as educators, we want to help students tap into their God-given gifts and talents. Like every child was born with gifts and talents and passions to be successful, to be productive, to, make a impact in this world. And so I think as AI evolves and technology in general, we still have a responsibility, an ethical and a moral responsibility, to focus on what children are really good at, allow them to pursue things, and then, hey, there's a tool here, how can that tool help you? As opposed to starting with the tool and saying, how can we make life easier for ourselves? No. We still got to figure out what we're passionate about, what we're gifted in, what is it that God put me on this earth to do, and then how can I use this tool to help?
If I could add one footnote to what has been said already. This disruptive Pandora's box that's been opened up, that's AI, our faculty and staff, our students, they're looking for where the boundaries are. They're looking for leadership of where we're going. And last year in 2025, all of the systems of higher ed, and I believe secondary, and the Board of Regents put forth policies that protected data, that talked about academic integrity. But students and faculty and staff, we cannot over-educate, we cannot over-communicate, nor over-coordinate this season. Now, 20 years from now, AI will be culture. But right now, people are looking for what the boundaries are. They're looking for what they can and cannot, should and should not do, and whatever consequences may lie if they don't.
Yeah, that's right. And let me close with this as we prepare to go. I told him I wasn't going to do any curveballs, but I'm doing one. So here we go. This is called the AI game. I am the referee in this game, and you guys are on one side, you guys on the other side. Now, your job is, if you were to take a picture of Paul and put it in AI, what would come out? If you were to take a picture, Dr. Jeff, what do you think would come out? If you were to take a picture of Miss Elizabeth Beard, what do you think would come out? And if you would take a picture of Dr. Sawtelle, what do you think would come out? So that's the name of the game. This is the AI game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AI game. We have some participants who's here, Paul, Liz, Jimmy, and Jeff. We're gonna play this game called What's in AI. You don't have to clap. It's okay, just me. All right, so, sir, you've taken a picture of Dr. Carell. You stuck it in ChatGPT and AI. What answer came out for you?
Back in my day, when we would watch cartoons and, cartoon characters like meant something back in the, like it wasn't, you weren't waiting for their personality to come out. And the owl was always the wisest animal in the forest. And he never had to say a whole lot. Everybody just knew that the owl always knew not just what was going on right beneath us, but what was also coming, because they were always perched high enough to see everything. So Dr. Paul Correll, you are the owl of Central Louisiana.
Oh, my
A+
God.
answer, Jeff Powell. That was a good
I don't
one.
know about
Same
that.
thing.
Nicely
You
done.
put his picture in.
Yes.
What comes out of AI?
Yes.
I think you used the word enthusiasm and passion. I think it would be a character that is so motivated to help children that we would all say, my God, who is this guy? Can we clone him? Can we clone him? Because Jeff, I mean, I know a lot of superintendents. I've worked with a lot of superintendents because I was with 4-H. And you're special. You're a special person. So I think we would say, let's get more Jeff Powells in some of these parishes that need help. Because we have some parishes that are really struggling in Louisiana. You know better than I do, but I know quite a few. And a lot of people wonder, what is the magic sauce of K through 12 education? It's passion, commitment, and love for the children. And that would be the character, I think, and everybody would say, can we get another Jeff clone? Because I want one in my parish.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we're back to team one. Now you took a picture of the lovely Dr. Stick it in AI, stick it in chat. What comes out?
You know, the first thing that came to mind is someone who's at the front of the ship, captaining the ship, riding the crest of the wave of their own personal experience of them being immersed in Central Louisiana, also riding the crest of the wave of the season that Dr. Correll brought in about 7 or 8 years ago, and that people are falling in line to be able to go behind that armada and to go places that LSU of Alexandria has never gone before, standing on the shadows of previous leaders. And I'm just so proud that my children graduated from there. I'm proud that it's in our backyard. And when I think of all of the synergy that's around this room, and of course, Dr. Heather Poole, there's a lot there, and the best is yet to come. Thank you for all that you've done.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Great. Okay, your turn. You're the
My
last one.
turn.
Throw them in there. Throw them in
Yeah,
there.
that's it. I'm thinking of, I mean, when you think of Louisiana, you think of charisma, warmth, hospitality, that passion.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Sawtell is the epitome of that. Just all heart. Bill Plation through and through, but I mean, you just anywhere that you see Jimmy, in Washington, D.C., he is just in that room, large, with heart, drawing people together, getting them excited about the opportunities and the work we're doing. So just that big old Louisiana heart and energy and passion and goodness. And so
It's all
it's an
because
honor.
of his babysitter.
That's it? Was
My
was that
baby-
Arlene Correll?
my wife
Was
baby-
Arlene Correll?
Thank you, Arlene Correll.
No doubt.
Thank you, man.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for tuning into the Guinn Conversation Series. You just heard from some great leaders in Central Louisiana, and it's more than just about the work. It's about the people, and we're really excited that they're leading the way. So thank you for tuning in, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of us to find out more about how you can learn more about AI, how you can be a part of this great community of educators, and we're just excited you're here. So on behalf of myself and these entire guests, we thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, and we look forward to other conversations to come, AI in business, AI in religion. We're going to really look at how we can be a part of technology to find a way to communicate the conversation that you normally wouldn't get. You wouldn't see behind the scenes of us having conversations. The same cares we have, you have. The same cares you have, we have. Our families matter, and so we want you to know that we're thinking about you, thinking about your families, and thinking about how to do our jobs well for years to come. So thank you for tuning in, and may God bless you and keep you in his perfect peace.
Yes.
All right, that's it.